Hello, my name is Jess and I'm a writer. I had my first book published in 2025 and I've just finished writing a historical fiction novella. This PowerPoint will present my favourite historical fiction novels. Okay, starting off with the childhood series that got me into historical fiction, we have the Roman Mysteries by Caroline Lawrence. I'm so sad because I actually had signed editions, like signed and dedicated to me by the author, and I don't know where they've gone. Now we have books set pre-20th century, which admittedly is a massive period of time. But considering most of the historical fiction books I read are set in the 20th century, I've kind of just grouped these together. We have Glorious Exploits by Ferdy Lennon, set in 400 AD. Girl with the Pearl Earring by Tracy Chevalier, which is set in the 1660s. The Convenient Marriage by Georgette Heyer. This is not the most literary read in this PowerPoint. It's definitely not, but it was a lot of fun. I would describe this as a romp. It did make me laugh out loud sometimes. And then lastly, The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead, which is set in the 1850s. I wrote an essay on it for university comparing it to Wolf Hall by Hilary Mantel. I don't think I want to reread Wolf Hall. It was just very dense, but I would like to reread this one. Now we have my favourite author of historical fiction, Kate Atkinson. So starting off with Shrines of Gaiety, which is set in the 1920s. Transcription, which is set in 1940 and 1950. Life After Life, which is by far my favourite of hers, and that is set throughout the whole of the 20th century. And then Behind the Scenes at the Museum, which is the primary narrative is in the 1950s, but it does go back in time quite a lot into the First World War, the Second World War, the Interwar, etc. And then also Human Croquet, which is set in the 1950s. Okay, now we have other 20th century historical fiction. Starting with the First World War, we have In Memoriam by Alice Wynne, my favourite book of all time. Well, definitely in my top 3. Regeneration by Pat Barker, another novel set in the First World War. And then The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak, which is set in the Second World War, and The Safe Key by Jelle van der Wooden, which is set kind of post-Second World War, but harks back to the Second World War. Okay, We Do Not Part by Han Kang was a book that I read last year. My second Han Kang book I've read. She is definitely a writer that I need to read everything she's ever written eventually in my lifetime. So this book is set in, it's set in the present, but it is reflecting on a really brutal period of history in 1948 on Jeju Island. Pachinko by Min-jin Lee is one of those sprawling family sagas. And then lastly, we have Elena Ferrante's My Brilliant Friend. I'm actually just about to start my reread of this, and I'm very excited because it's been a couple of years. And lastly, we have historical fiction that I'm craving for. So I would really like to find a literary story set on the Titanic or building up to the Titanic. I mean, this movie is amazing. It is probably one of my favorite films. I'm basic like that, I know. But I would just love to find a really beautiful literary exploration of this horrific disaster. I haven't found one yet. If you know of one, please let me know. I'm really, really craving it. It's to the point where I'm like, I'm going to need to write it myself at this point because I want it so much. I would also love to read a book that's set in the 60s during Beatles mania because I am very interested in reading about parasocial relationships. It's one of my kind of favorite subgenres of contemporary fiction. Kind of the only really genre of contemporary fiction that I'm really interested in, to be honest, is kind of how we get obsessed with celebrities. So I would love to read something like that set in the 60s with people becoming obsessed with the Beatles. Thank you for your time. This is my website, www.jesswhatsauthor.com.